Shake with full extension. Keep it away from your face. Shake as hard as you can. Keep that core tight. Come on, focus on breathing.
Recent statistics show that approximately 12% of all websites are porn-related, 25% of all search engine requests are sex-related, and 35% of all internet downloads are pornographic. So pretty darn popular. And these numbers don't even account for all the user-generated stuff that is posted and viewed on social media sites like Facebook and Instagram." End quote. You turn on your computer, go to your favorite site, search for a video, watch it maybe 1, 2, 6 times a day. The next day, the same deal. You know the drill. Then there's the aftermath of porn. The entire experience leaves you a little bit depressed and fragmented. When the time comes for you to meet someone in real life, the expectations are incredibly high. You feel like you need to match the actions and scenarios played out in your favorite videos. Unfortunately, this is the mindset of the general population, mainly of the male demographic. And unfortunately, there is facts to back up the negatives of porn use. Despite the minimum harm factor expected, pornography has severe effects on the mind and body, is incidentally connected to sex trafficking, and could inexplicably ruin your relationship life. Pornographic images can do a number on the brain and body, which could essentially rewire your body's chemistry. With the repetitive viewing of these images online, it can often lead to a very unhealthy mental addiction. In the case of pornography, this mirror neuron system triggers the arousal, which leads to sexual tension and a need for an outlet. The unfortunate reality is that when he acts out, often by masturbating, this leads to a hormonal and neurological consequence, which are designed to bind him to the object he is focusing on, says Struthers. Dopamine surges when a person is exposed to novel stimuli, particularly if it is sexual, or when stimuli is more arousing than anticipated. Because erotic imagery triggers more dopamine than sex with a familiar partner, exposure to pornography leads to arousal addiction and teaches the brain to prefer the image and become less satisfied with real-life sexual partners. Unlike food and drugs, there are almost no physical limitation to the internet porn consumption. With internet porn, one can escalate to both more novel partners and by viewing new and unusual genres. With this dissatisfaction with real-life partners, this could potentially lead to social isolation. Unless you are really open with your friends, one certainly separates personal activities from social activities. And here's the problem. Watching porn, in most cases, demands isolation. Anything which viewers do in secrecy usually leads to shame. One of the first effects of frequently watching porn for men and women, especially those who are young, is social awkwardness in public, which ironically leads to more shame and hiding. In turn, viewing this type of material in excess could often lead to many mental and social consequences. Unsurprisingly, pornographic material can have drastic effects on the mind and body with repetitive consumption. Since the creation of the internet, malevolent figures have found ways to profit from it, and porn is no exception. To my amazement, the porn industry as a whole is inexplicably connected to the sex trafficking industry. Obviously enough, a not-so-nice group of people could record a video of a non-sensual, violent arrangement, and said video could be sold or put up online for money. Overall, this type of video wouldn't be distinguishable from any other type of material you would find on such websites. Quote, "Millions and millions of internet pages are filled with people who were recruited, enticed, and coerced into commercial sex. Many pornographic performers have endured rape, abuse, and other forms of physical violence. While pornographic content includes trafficked victims from around the world, porn consumers aren't told anything about the performers, including which may have been trafficked at an early age. Regular users of internet pornography are likely consuming pornographic material that includes adult and children victims."
But here we need to be clear what we mean by pornography. Are we talking about the end product, or are we talking about the industry that makes that product? If we're talking about the industry, then pornography, it seems to me, is most certainly prostitution. people are getting paid to perform sexual acts. The difference? There's a camera in the room. That's it.
From sex trafficking. Overall, the demand for porn consumption allows for an industry with these types of non-consensual activities to thrive. Although on an ethical and moral standard, it goes so much deeper than it already is. Pornographic consumption can increase the demand for trafficked victims. Quote, porn is described as the wallpaper of the digital age, and like any other form of media or advertising, it shapes attitudes and influences behavior.
Now, from a legal perspective, the law says that any pleasure derived from the act of making porn is not what the actors and actresses are getting paid for. They're getting paid to act. They're being paid to make a film, and for this reason, they're not considered prostitutes. But this is really a false distinction, I think. I mean, if I went to a prostitute and I brought a camera with me and I said, okay, I'd like to hire you to make this film with me. I'm going to have sex with you and record it so I can go back again and watch it for my personal use. By the way, I might really enjoy the whole experience, but that's not what I'm paying you for. I'm paying you to be an actress in my film. This seems, because it is, completely ridiculous.
Specifically, porn grooms people to accept the idea of transactional commercial sex by conditioning them to see others as objects, not persons. Ultimately, the demand for porn appears to allow human trafficking-like activity to dangerously thrive. Interestingly enough, under federal law, porn production is a clear-cut form of sex trafficking. The Trafficking Victims Protection Act defines sex trafficking as the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, or obtaining a person for the purpose of a commercial sex act. This definition precisely describes the workday of an average porn producer. Ultimately, pornographic material, prostitution, and sex trafficking are becoming more and more indistinguishable. Not surprisingly, or surprisingly, depending on the viewer, pornographic material can indeed ruin your relationship life. With the limitless amount of content stretching the depths of the internet, the reality is that porn can warp your ideas of sex. From the earliest ages, guys are seduced into excessive and mostly isolated viewings and involvement with texting, tweeting, blogging, online chatting, emailing, and watching sports on TV or laptops. Most of all, though, they're burying themselves in video games and pornography." End quote. The fear, of course, is that adolescent boys are no longer learning what it takes to evolve into healthy romantic relationships, that they are using online porn as their model for real-world sexual models. Due to the drastic scenes that these porn scenes are displaying, this could have a dangerous effect on the viewer. In addition to that, porn consumption can affect your physical performance in a number of ways. Quote, one increasingly documented issue is that
a lot of these guys have developed what doctors are beginning to call porn-induced erectile dysfunction, which basically means they can get physically aroused by porn and only porn. They might be with their wife or girlfriend trying to get an erection or trying to climax, but they can't do it. According to the Journal of Adolescent Health, about 30% of young guys have erectile dysfunction, ED, okay? The Journal of Sexual Medicine says 1 in 4 guys who are seeking medical help for ED are now under 40 years old. Urologists are saying this is a major shift compared to a generation ago, because not only are these generally healthy men too young to be seeing ED problems, but also these patients aren't responding to ED medication. So researchers said the more intense your porn exposure, the more your brain has a down-regulation response, aka the more porn you watch, the less sexual arousal you experience. Now, the good news is that a lot of guys are getting over their ED by quitting porn and masturbation.
Sexual dysfunction, both erectile dysfunction and a delayed ejaculation. Simply put, growing numbers of men, including many males in their sexual prime, now suffer from sexual dysfunction, and their dysfunction appears to be directly related to their use of pornography. One study found that women whose husbands or boyfriends look at pornography frequently are less happy in their relationships than women whose male partners either infrequently use porn or don't look at it at all, to the women's knowledge. Essentially, the study found that a male's partner porn use increases, his female partner's self-esteem and relationship happy decreases. Overall, the pornographic material could negatively affect the brain, causing warped ideas of sex and an emotional disconnection from partners. Unfortunately, the issues with the porn industry go way deeper than this video has time to state. There's many issues such as an STD problem, the drug abuse issue, and a very common sexual abuse issue.
Was a porn actress for almost 2 years, and I experienced major abuse, drug addiction, prostitution, abuse by pornographers, abuse by club owners, all kinds of things that I went through, and I had very severe damages that literally took me 8 years to recover. I had the last thing I want to do, people, is talk about porn. But you know what, I went back to the industry and saw that there was a lot of other people like me.
Overall, I'm not any expert in this field. I'm just someone who did a little bit of research to make a video for my viewers. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I definitely put a lot of time into this. It takes a shitload of effort to push through this, and I love every single last one of you that subscribed from that first video. I appreciate it so much. You guys have a fantastic day. My name is Stretch Rants. I'm a commentary YouTuber that makes stuff in my own perspective. That's it. I will talk to you guys later.